Harris Rothermel asked me on Quora, how do I legally retain the IP when hiring a developer to write code? I'm Andrei Answers, the founder of Trademark Factory, and here's my answer to this question. This is actually a great question because if you don't know, just because you hire somebody to create your website and if you pay them doesn't mean that what they've created for you becomes yours. The intellectual property in the website that you paid for and that you hired them to create for you does not automatically vest in you. It remains with them unless you have an agreement in writing that assigns or transfers their copyright and other intellectual property in what they will have created over to you. And the assumption behind this approach is very simple. The author, the person who's actually creating this, the programmer or the web designer or whoever else is working on your project, by definition, they are the weaker party because once they've delivered something to you, if they weren't protected by copyright, then you could just say, well, now it's mine, thank you, goodbye. So what has been decided is that they will have the original copyright. They will be considered the original author of the work that they will have created for you. And again, the assumption is that if you, the person who's hiring them and paying the money, are really interested in making sure that you become the owner of whatever IP they're going to create for you, then you would reach out to them and get it settled through a contract. That's what contracts are for, right? So the power of a contract is that it allows you to change the default provisions of how law is treating your relationships. So by default, it's the author, the programmer that owns the IP on the website. But you can change it through a contract, which is why you enter into a contract that says, I own this, but I am willing to assign it to you in exchange for you paying me and maybe in exchange for something else. So that's how this works. So if you want to make sure that whoever you hire to create your website properly assigns you these rights, you gotta have an agreement in writing that states exactly that you chose them to create something for you and they agreed to design your website, provide you with all the source code and all of that so that you can in the future amend or modify or do whatever you want with that website, and also that for the same amount of money they will have assigned to you all their intellectual property that will subsist in the work product that they will have created for you. So I know it's a mouthful, but the summary is the only way to make sure you retain the IP is sign the contract before they do the work. Simple. And to make it even simpler, we actually have a website where you can purchase the templates for the contracts just like this. This could either be the after the fact assignment agreement, which is after you've hired the developer, they've done your website, and then you watch this video and go like, whoa, I didn't realize I don't own IP on my website. How do I go back to my developer and make sure that they assign the rights? So that would be the situation after they've done it, after you've paid them, now you want to go back and say, actually what we meant is for me to own the intellectual property in that website. Can you please sign this? And that's a very short agreement. Or you can have the longer version, we call it content creation agreement, which is something you want to sign before the money changes hands, before they've delivered the work. It's much longer document, much more sophisticated, covers a lot more ground, and think about it, you can never convince somebody who had already done the work and got paid for it to sign a long contract, right? It's just the reality of it. But they'll probably be able to sign a one-pager that briefly outlines what's happening. With people you're hiring for the future, get them to sign the longer one. Like I said, it's a lot more sophisticated, and that's how you protect your intellectual property that your employees or your subcontractors are going to create for you. Now, I hope this answers Harris's question, and if you found it interesting, subscribe now, get notified whenever the next one goes live, and I can answer a question that you have about branding or trademarks. The only way for me to find out is for you to put a comment below, and I'll be happy to record a comment just like this one and help you and maybe help somebody else understand how trademarks work. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.